Hello, everyone. Dr. Chris Martinson here with a quick update for you. Hey, so quick, I didn't even have time to change. I want to talk to you about, well, what's coming and the possibility of this. I think this is a sign of things to come. There are food shortages now in the UK, at least. So these were the first rumblings we saw here. This is back in February 22 of 2023, saying that they've already started to limit what a shopper can buy. Only 2 tomatoes, 2 cucumbers. So why are supermarkets limiting the sales of fruits and veggies? Well, it's a complicated story. Of course, some are blaming Brexit, but I would blame the fact that the Netherlands are a huge exporter, particularly of things like hothouse, greenhouse, cucumbers, veggies, things like that. And of course, natural gas prices shot up because Russia, Ukraine war, all that other stuff. Shortages. Next thing you know, they didn't grow food, and here we are. Now, that's okay, but they're not being honest about this stuff. So yeah, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, broccoli, okay, disappeared, mostly because winter imports from Europe, and they're saying North Africa hit because of poor weather. But really, honestly, it was a lot of the energy issues going on, and then it became a little bit more, and Lidl, the big retailer there in the UK, began to ration sales of salad ingredients, and then, March 1st, Zero Hedge reporting that it's all about the normalization of being out of things and that you have to get used to things being rationed. Sorry, due to adverse weather conditions, these products are out of stock. Well, can't just blame it all on the weather. This is how Neil Oliver put it in a piece he just did for GB News, saying, quote, they're rationing tomatoes in the supermarkets. We're told it's about supply chains, bad weather, the price of heating. But right now, in terms of the messaging, I suspect it's more about pushing the word rationing, less about any believable shortage of food and more about getting us used to hearing the word. No doubt, if experience is anything to go by, the rest will come later. My money says the rationing app for our smartphones is already sitting on a hard drive somewhere, ready when we are. So that's it. It's a psychological manipulation. It's part of the psyops. This is a big 3-piece thing I've been talking about that's coming out later this week on this channel. And it's big, folks, because we have to talk about 3 big giant things that kind of come together. The first is that there were these lockdown file gate thing where a bunch of WhatsApp messages came out that were within the UK leadership talking about how they wanted people to be afraid and how they were going to use variants to scare people so that they would do what the authorities wanted, right? And that leads us to the second part of this, which is a really uncomfortable talk, which is about how the nudge units were using various things to psychologically manipulate us. And then the darkest of the 3 is going to concern what happened in how it looked like within the UK system, deaths of certain people were hastened by officials. So that's all coming out later this week. Keep an eye out for that. Now, check this out. In the United States, U.S. beef cattle inventory lowest since 1962. Again, a complicated set of factors, but feed prices got really high. We showed you this earlier on this channel about how there were just huge lineups of people, particularly in the Southwest, who couldn't afford to feed their animals through the drought and soaring feed prices. They took them all to market then, so beef prices were suppressed then. Now, oh my goodness, that headline right there tells you that in 6, 9, 12 months, you're going to have to get ready for exceptionally high beef prices. Is this all just accidental bad luck? Feels a little bit more intentional than that. As I said throughout 2020 in my COVID reporting, and then in 2021, and 2022, and I'm going to say it again in 2023. Folks, plant a garden. This is the way that you get around some of these things that are happening. If you can, please plant a garden. There's our garden at the beginning of the season, towards the end of the season. What am I recommending? Storage crops, great things to grow. Potatoes, there's Evie holding a beet. But hey, flowers too, for the bees, for the beauty, to keep us all sane in this increasingly insane world. Get some chickens. Of course, we are all familiar in the United States about egg shortages, soaring egg prices. This is the only thing, if people say eat bugs, I'm totally happy to eat crickets, but first I'm going to pass them through my chickens because they'll eat those crickets happily and then I'll eat the eggs. That's it. I'm willing to eat crickets, just one step removed. That's as close as I can get for now. All right. Learn how to live off the land. Hey, Ryan, go ahead and play this. This is March in New England. Snow. Hey, that's my tractor right there. And Evie is checking out the temperature of the sap we're boiling from those maple trees. You can see one in the background coming up out of Evie's back there. That's a maple tree. So we gathered the maple sap and we boil it down. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, of course, that's where maple syrup actually comes from. So you got to track the temperature really carefully and watch all of this. This is just classic spring behavior. And if you do it, hey, here's some of our first batch grade A maple syrup from 2023. So it's time to learn the skills, how to learn how to live off the land, how to put food up, how to store the food, all of that. I highly recommend having a deep pantry. This is a rock solid way to navigate rising inflation in food prices, because you will be surprised in a year when you rotate that can through from the top to see what a can of tuna fish cost last year compared to next year. It's astonishing. So actually keeping a deep pantry is a good way to beat the effects of inflation. Spend your money now while it still has value. And by the way, if you trade your physical dollars into silver, remember, you're just trading one form of money for another form of money. In my world, you're trading a bad form of money for a good form of money. That's another way to get through this period that's coming. And with the deep pantry, I might also recommend storage foods. These are all things that we recommend to peak prosperity. It's about being resilient. It's about taking care of yourself and making sure that you are in charge of what you can be in charge of. I can't control what the Federal Reserve does for printing, but I can control where I store my money. I can't control these crazy policies, but I can control how much food I grow and store and all of that. So that's my strongest recommendation. Please, 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 whatever you do, if you could follow this advice right here, you will have a much better chance of being happier, healthier, and more resilient through all the years to come. All right. Thanks very much for listening. We will see you over at Peak Prosperity if you want to find out more about how to become resilient and, most importantly, meet the rest of your tribe, because you got to do this with other people. All right. See you next time. Bye.